I was definitely telling myself, no, that's not me. Like, caffeine definitely doesn't have an effect. I'm fine. I can handle it. I'm not oversensitive to it. And that's what I've kind of been telling myself for the last year. But when I actually decided, no, you know what, I'm going to put my body first and I'm just going to try this last month, and it worked, well, shit, now I'm gonna have to keep doing it. I love coffee, so the idea to go without it or even just stop it for a few days is just not taken lightly. But last cycle I went without coffee for the whole cycle. So my cycle ended up being 29 days and the cycle before that was 58 days. So that's just one example of how coffee made a huge difference to my health. As I always talk about on here, that menstrual health is a huge indicator of your overall health. But I also noticed during that cycle that my skin was so much clearer, and it just, by the end of it, it cleared up, even going into my period, where usually that's the time of the month where you break out as well. I didn't really expect it to have that much of a difference. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If we haven't met yet, then my name is Madison Don't, and I teach you the science behind health so that you can understand your body and become your healthiest you. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how coffee can cause acne specifically, and I've narrowed it down to 3 different ways that it can do it. So if you're excited for this video and you want more helpful and easy to understand science and health tips, then make sure to like this video and subscribe below, and let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first way that coffee can cause acne is because coffee increases cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Now, I've spoken about the stress hormone quite a bit on my channel and also on my Instagram. If you're not following, then head over there and join us over there, because I share so many more health tips throughout the week. But if we're just looking at the caffeine, it increases cortisol. Cortisol increases testosterone. And as I've talked about in my What Hormone Causes Acne video, testosterone increases sebum, which is our oil, and that is one of the huge factors of inflammatory acne. I know that stress is one of my acne root causes, and I also have a video where you can have a think about what your root cause might be, but that is essentially how you fix your acne, is you get to the cause. So I know that stress isn't my only root cause. Hormones play a big role in that, as well as my PCOS, but I know that stress does play a huge part in it. So if you find that you're breaking out more around stressful times, then I would definitely say that stress would be one of your root causes as well. Cortisol increases testosterone. So whether you think you're stressed or not, cortisol is that fight or flight response. So if you're worrying about something, or you feel like you're chasing your tail because you're trying to avoid a consequence, that cortisol is going to go up. And caffeine does increase that cortisol, which is why it can also throw off your natural circadian rhythm as well. So if stress is not your root cause, or if you don't usually have high cortisol levels, then you may not notice that you are as sensitive to caffeine. I was definitely telling myself, no, that's not me. Like, caffeine definitely doesn't have an effect. I'm fine. I can handle it. But when I actually decided, no, you know what, I'm going to put my body first and I'm just going to try this last month, and it worked, well, shit, now I'm gonna have to keep doing it. So obviously there's gonna be those days where you've absolutely had no sleep, or something's gone wrong, you know, there's family stress and you just need to have a coffee in order to function. And so, like, I'm not saying never have coffee, but yeah, definitely it does play a huge role if stress is your root cause. The second way that coffee can cause acne is if you are using dairy milk. So particularly cow's milk, and I have talked about how dairy actually causes acne in this video here, which is why I've been dairy free for I think 1.5 years now, and I've definitely had my days through there where not many actually, but I actually had a curry which was full of cow's milk, and I had like 11 new pimples the next day. Like, it was next level. I didn't think that it had that much of effect on me, but that video actually talks to you about the pathway. But basically, dairy has IGF-1 in it, which is insulin-like growth factor, and it increases a growth hormone in your body, which then increases testosterone. And as we've just talked about, testosterone increases sebum, so that oil gets in and blocks those P. acne bacteria and dead skin cells in your pores, creating a pimple. Now, the third way that coffee can cause acne is through sugar. Now, this isn't just added sugars. If you don't add a sugar into your coffee, then that's amazing. If you do, then you really should try and wean off that. But it's even the sugar in the milks. So I know, because I drink almond milk, I also drink coconut milk, and I do have some tips on how to start liking almond milk, because when I first tasted it, I honestly thought it tasted like Play-Doh, but now I can't tell the difference. So I do have a whole video on how to go dairy-free easily. But even though I drink almond milk, I buy a certain one from the supermarket where I've seen the ingredients and I know that it doesn't have any added sugar, it doesn't have any acidity regulators or nasty numbers and additives. I know exactly what's in it. I think it's 3 ingredients, like water, filtered almonds, like brown rice, and I think it has some salt in it as well. Whereas the barista almond milks, yes, they taste so much better, like I'll give it that. And I'm not saying that I never have them, because like sometimes when you go to a coffee shop, that's all they have. And it's because the barista almond milks have anti-caking agents in it, have acidity regulators, have added sugar, and all that stuff just stops it from separating. And obviously it looks a bit gross when your almond milk separates in your coffee, I get it. And barista almond milk, because it has that added sugar, it does taste so much better. And this goes for the other alternative milks as well. You really just have to look at the ingredients, but I know that a lot of coffee shops use, I think it's called Milk Lab, which tastes great. Like I've said, I'm not dissing Milk Lab, it tastes amazing, but it has added sugar, so it's like, it kind of contradicts the reason that you go dairy-free in the first place. So basically the science behind sugar is that sugar actually causes acne in 2 ways. So one, it increases inflammation, and inflammation is one of the 3 things that cause all inflammatory acne. I actually have a video on all the things that cause inflammatory pimples. There's only 3. So all inflammatory acne comes down to those 3 things. And one of them is inflammation. So sugar causes inflammation. We really need to eat anti-inflammatory foods and not foods like sugar, and dairy is inflammatory as well. The other way that sugar causes acne is that it reduces insulin sensitivity. So it creates insulin resistance, which is not good, and it causes an increase in testosterone. And you've probably caught on to the pattern by now, but testosterone causes sebum, and sebum is one of the 3 things that cause all inflammatory acne. So if you have sugar, then you're increasing your sebum and you're increasing the inflammation. So they are the 3 main ways, or the 3 main pathways that coffee can cause acne. But I'm not just going to leave you with that. Now I'm going to give you my tips on how you can still have the amazing taste of coffee but not have the acne that comes along with it. And also a quick little disclaimer: if stress isn't your root cause, if you are not sensitive to dairy, if dairy doesn't cause inflammation for you and doesn't cause your testosterone to rise, if you haven't been on the pill and your hormones aren't so sensitive, so your testosterone doesn't spike, then coffee may not cause acne for you. So I'm not saying that it's inevitable. I'm not saying coffee causes acne in everybody, because obviously most people drink coffee and a lot of people don't have acne. But I'm just saying that if you have acne prone skin, then yeah, these are the ways that coffee can just make it worse and activate the acne prone skin. Because if you have acne prone skin, it doesn't mean you're prone to having acne for the rest of your life. It just means that you need to take certain steps in order to eliminate particular things that can escalate that acne. So it's totally possible to have acne prone skin and have clear skin for the rest of your life, assuming that you don't have any stresses for the rest of your life. So it's just all about knowing how to manage it. But let's get into those tips. So the first tip is to cut out cow's milk. So I've already touched on this, but I do have that video that I showed you before on how to go dairy free really easily and how to work your way into liking those alternative milks. So the most popular ones are like soy, oat milk, coconut milk, and almond milk. But I've heard macadamia milk is really good as well. I don't know if coffee shops have that one, but that is your first bet there. So just play around with it, see which one you like the most. I personally don't really like oat milk, but I know that some people swear by it and think it's the best alternative milk in coffees, so it's all just personal preference according to your taste buds. But yeah, just try and get on that alternative milk game, because if you have acne prone skin, cutting out dairy is going to do wonders for you. The second tip is to make your coffee at home. So technology is so advanced these days that people can literally have full barista setups in their kitchen, but you don't need that. I am not so much a coffee snob. I just have instant coffee, but I have the good stuff. I have the Nescafe Gold. Yeah, good stuff. But make your coffee at home. That way you are buying the right milk and you know what it's got in it, you know its ingredients. If you want one that doesn't separate, my favorite is the Pure Harvest unsweetened almond milk, but yeah, I mean, there's others as well, but just make your coffee at home and then you know exactly what's in it, and they're not using those barista coffees, which are in the supermarket as well. Like, don't get caught up in the hype when you go to find alternative milks. Don't get caught up in the terms like barista coffee, this won't separate, because it usually will have nasties in it to stop it from separating. So whenever you do go shopping for anything, let alone alternate milks, just make sure to flip it over and read the ingredients on the back, and that's going to be your best bet. My third tip is to never add sugar to your coffee, but if you do need a sweetener, I suggest that you use stevia. So I've done a bit of research on this, and obviously there are more studies to be done on this topic, because it is still a fairly new topic, but because of my PCOS, I've been looking into insulin resistance and insulin sensitivity, and it is suggested that, so studies have actually tested, and it seems that stevia does not spike blood sugar levels like other alternative sweeteners and like your normal white sugar. So I would recommend, yeah, using stevia if you need a sweetener, but it is pretty easy to just have your coffee without sugar. It may kind of be a shock to the system the first time, but once you keep doing it, you will get used to it, and then later down the track, if you try and add a sugar to your coffee, you might be like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet, how did I ever drink it like this? My fourth tip is to go decaf and get your energy naturally through a good night's sleep, some real relaxation time, and just eating lots of nutrient-rich vegetables and fruits that have all your vitamins and minerals, because if you are iron deficient, if you are B12 deficient, like all of these deficiencies can cause fatigue and affect the way that your body makes energy. I could go into the chemical pathways, but you really don't need to know that in depth. But vitamins and minerals play a huge role in how you feel, and that's why when you eat well, you tend to feel a lot better as well. But also just getting a good night's sleep, making sure that you're in a good routine, and that's going to give you more than enough energy. Obviously, when you go from coffee, like caffeine, to decaf, you may experience a slump at first, and that's just because your body's getting used to it, because it's used to that caffeine. So like anything, it just will take a bit of time to adapt, but just stick with it and it honestly will be worth it. You can even use more gentle forms of energy like green tea. Green tea has so many benefits, it's insane. So even though it is, some of them do have a bit of caffeine in there, it is just amazing. Like, I was having green tea on that month that I didn't have coffee, or caffeine coffee as such, caffeinated coffee, and yeah, I still had green tea in that month and I still saw the benefits. So yeah, just try and go decaf, and that way you will still get the taste of coffee, because I am not silly, I definitely love the taste, but yeah, just without all the unwanted side effects for acne prone skin. So then my fifth tip is to drink more herbal teas in its place. So obviously herbal teas have a range of benefits depending on what you're drinking. If you're drinking chamomile, then it's really calming, which could also help your cortisol levels. If you're having licorice, I really like licorice tea, and I've actually talked about in my What Hormone Causes Acne video how licorice can lower testosterone. And then you've got green tea. So green tea is anti-inflammatory, which will help your acne. It's antibacterial. It has so many amazing properties. So drinking those herbal teas will still give you a mug in your hand. It'll still give you something warm, especially now that we're going into Australian winter. So it won't feel like you've completely cut something out of your routine, because when you wake up in the morning and you usually go to the kitchen and have a coffee, just boil the kettle and make yourself a tea instead, so that it's more substitution than it is complete elimination. And that way you won't feel so deprived, but you'll also be seeing those extra benefits as well. Comment below if you think that you'll be able to swap out coffee, and if you have already gone without coffee, then let me know how long it's been and if you've seen any benefits from it so far. Also, if you liked this video and found it helpful, then please make sure to like it below and subscribe for more tips just like this. Although not every video is going to be me telling you to cut out things that you love, but it is really going to teach you a lot more about your body and contribute towards your health and help you feel just so much better. Also, if you haven't already, go and jump over onto our Instagram, because we have an amazing community over there of like-minded people who are also working towards being the healthiest version of themselves. But that's all from me for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video next week.